Hi everybody, it's Mez here. Thank you for tuning into Plan C, the third video in this journey of a cancer patient. Just wanted to take a little bit of time to say thank you so much for the love and support that I've received so far in making these videos. I've had a lot of people kind of contact me and really kind of be inspired by some of the videos that I'm making. So, that's exactly kind of what I wanted. I wanted people to come along this journey with me, go through my highs, go through my lows, and really kind of get a sense of what it's like to go through cancer, or at least the type of cancer that I have. And that's the reason why I'm making this video. This video today is not only to update you on what's happened since my last video, but also kind of describe exactly what type of cancer that I have. I realized that in the last two videos that I talked about having lymphoma, but what does that mean? You don't really kind of get an understanding of what it is unless you kind of look it up on Google or whatever. So this video, I wanted to talk a little bit about the type of cancer that I've got. And the type of cancer is non-Hodgkins lymphoma. There's a specific type. I've got large B cell for anybody who's interested. But I am going to be talking about non-Hodgkin's lymphoma in general. Now, I'm not a doctor. I'm not medically trained. I've not been to medical school or anything like that. So everything that I'm saying in this video is everything that I've learned since getting cancer. And so it's not going to go into the super technical medical kind of understanding. It's going to be a very layman's term, hopefully, so everybody that is watching these videos can understand exactly what's happened, why has this happened, and how does this cancer behave. So before I kind of go into that, let me give you a quick update on what's happened since when I started chemo. My last video was. I'm halfway through my first cycle of chemotherapy. I had a check-in with my consultant. They took some blood tests, and the results came in absolutely fine. They are super happy with my progress. The chemotherapy drugs have taken to my body really well. Touch wood, I've not got any kind of major side effects. Sometimes there's sickness and nausea, but there's medication that we take to kind of counteract that kind of feeling. But in the grand scheme of things, I hardly kind of have any of those side effects. Fatigue is a big thing, and that happens a lot. But we're starting to manage it. So at this point, halfway through the cycle, I'm not taking as many pills as I need to. For the first 7 days of chemo, there's a whole plethora of pills that I need to take. After you've taken them for 7 days, or at least in this cycle, there's not much pills to take. I think I'm only taking roughly around about 4 to 5, I might be wrong there, pills just to kind of last me through the day. And a lot of them are kind of like I said, anti-sickness pills, and pills just to kind of mitigate some of the side effects of the chemotherapy. So that is great. It's been decided that because I have thin veins in my wrists and my palms, that they're going to put something called a PICC line in me, and that is a permanent cannula. So that's a line that will go in from my arm and down into my chest. And that is just so they don't have to keep on finding a vein, jabbing me multiple times, those veins failing to kind of take the cannula. It's the best thing for me in my scenario. What that actually means is that because that cannula is permanently fitted, I will need that line to be flushed every week. So I'll be going into the clinic to get that cleaned, flushed, so the nervous to infection and is absolutely fine. So that is happening next week. I believe that's Thursday. Today is Sunday, the 6th of March. And so, yeah, I have a low immune system at the moment, but that's to be expected. That was one of the things that the consultant said would happen. Because of that, I've got a cold. I have a 20-month-old daughter who, because of bugs, I want to contract it, right? So, I can handle a cold. That's not so much of an issue. But it does mean that I have to restrict my movements for this week until my white blood cells, or the blood cells that actually fight infection, rise up. and get to a point whereby they can handle it a little bit more. Right now it's super low, but that's only for a short time, probably about a week or so, and that will increase. So other than that, everything has been absolutely fine. Consultant's happy with the progress. I'm happy with the progress. Again, like I said, touch wood, no side effects. And my next chemotherapy session, cycle 2, is on the 17th of March. So with that update being done, let me tell you about non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Now, lymphoma has 2 branches, non-Hodgkin's, which is what I have, and Hodgkin's lymphoma. I'm not going to talk too much about Hodgkin's lymphoma. Cards on the table. I've not researched that. I've not looked into it. I've only been concentrating on the type of cancer that I have, which is non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. So what is it? Well, one of the first things that I got told when I had lymphoma was that it is a cancer. When you hear the word lymphoma, you don't necessarily think cancer, or at least I didn't. Anyway, I had to Google. Is it a cancer? Yes, it's a cancer, but it's a specific type of cancer. It's a blood cancer, as opposed to something like breast cancer, which is a more physical type of cancer where a tumor grows. In a blood cancer, you still get a tumor growth, but it's more kind of contained within your blood circulatory system. Now, within that, your circulation system, your blood circulation system, there's also something called the lymphatic system. Now, the lymphatic system is to do with your immune system and your immunity. Or should I say your immune system, not immunity. When you're ill or when your body's trying to fight disease, your lymphatic system is the parts of your circulatory system that extracts all of the negative stuff that is generated while it's fighting the disease or fighting the illness, and gets rid of it. And that's where I have the cancer. It's part of my lymphatic system. Your lymphatic system has nodes all around your body, but a lot of the common ones are in your neck, under your armpit, your groin, that kind of area. And when these are infected, they can swell. So when I went to the doctor, when I saw a doctor, they were constantly checking to see if any of those nodes were inflamed, whether they can feel any kind of lumps or bumps or anything like that. I don't have any kind of inflamed lymph nodes that you can feel. It's possibly that they're in my abdomen where the cancer started, but definitely not in the kind of noticeable areas where the doctors were checking. So that kind of tells you a little bit about where my cancers started. But it kind of begs you to think, what is cancer? Why did it start? How did it start? Well, again, I want to explain this in more layman terms. We as human beings, we're made up of cells, and those cells generate, they multiply, and they die. And all of that cycle is controlled by bioelectrical signals that the body generates. The body's system that generates this tells when a cell needs to multiply, when it needs to die off, where it needs to go, what it needs to do, its whole function. What's happened in my case is there has been one rogue cell that, for some reason or other, we don't know why, has modified its DNA and is no longer listening to the bioelectronic signals that my body is generating. So these signals will tell it to die if it needs to. This modified cell is no longer taking instructions from the system. and it's multiplied and multiplied and multiplied and multiplied to a point whereby it's self-sustained, self-fulfilling. It's got its own mind. It's doing its own thing, and it's not dying off. And as it's multiplied, it's got to the point whereby it's decided that it's going to move on from where it originally started through the lymphatic system in my body, and it's found other areas to basically set up camp, decide that this is where it's going to set up or pitch its tent, so to speak, and again multiply and multiply and multiply and multiply, and again the cycle is repeated. So it's decided that it's going to travel along the lymphatic system again, find another place to kind of settle down, and again multiply. And what started as cancer in my abdominal area, it then moved on to my spleen, my left lung, chest area, I think pancreas, and a few other places as well. So there you have it. That's a little bit about the cancer that I have, and the only way to kind of treat it initially is chemotherapy. Chemotherapy is the weapon of choice, so to speak, and it really kind of depends on how well that's working. So after, I think, my third cycle of chemotherapy, then another scan will happen to see if the chemotherapy has had any effects, and if it has, then great, we continue the course of chemotherapy. If it hasn't, then again we still continue the course of chemotherapy, but then we look at other tricks in the box to try and fight this. One of this is radiotherapy, which isn't on my cards at the moment, but I guess it's something to consider when chemotherapy hasn't been as effective as it needs to be. But we're not at that stage yet. Hopefully I'll never get to that stage, and we'll keep on fighting. Hopefully this is going to be done after 6 cycles. Having said that, the chemotherapy might last for 6 cycles, but that's not the end of it. If that gets rid of the cancer, fine, but that's not the end of it. I think I've been told that I have probably another 5 years of tests, scans, updates, and checks to know whether this cancer has gone from my body. What it takes is one cell. If the chemotherapy cycles go through and just one cell is left, then that one cell can travel along the lymphatic system, then multiply and then multiply and multiply, and it can return again. And that's a massive fear. As I sit here, that's a massive fear. We can go through this chemotherapy. My body can get used to the drugs. We can go through this and we can beat it. But now there's a fear of it returning, and that's scary. I don't want to go through my life having to go through chemotherapy. It does take it out on you. You have your good days and your bad days. A few days ago, I had a bad day, which means that I had low mood, low energy. But those days are rare. But there's always a fear. And I think that fear is always going to be there until after the 5 years. My doc says, hey, you know what? You're in remission. You're not going to get this cancer again, or you're unlikely to get this cancer again. Who knows? But I can't live in that fear, right? I refuse to live in that fear. So let's see how it goes. Roll on cycle 2, see how it goes. Thank you guys for watching. If you're not seeing any of my other videos, please go back, please watch them. Please let me know what you think. If you've subscribed already, thank you so much. You may need, for those that are already subscribed but said that they're not getting any kind of notifications when I do a video, I think there's a bell or something like that you've got to kind of click on to get alerts. I don't know, I'm not a YouTube expert at this point, but anyway, thank you all for listening. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Thank you. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.